With Iran choking the crucial waterway Strait of Hormuz, the United Arab Emirates is accelerating construction of a new pipeline that would allow a larger share of its crude exports to bypass the narrow waterway altogether. Hello and welcome to The Print. I'm Udit Bubna and today I will explain why the UAE's upcoming West-East pipeline is important and how it fits into Abu Dhabi's post-OPEC strategy, whether it can reduce risk linked to the Strait of Hormuz, and why the project matters for India's energy security. The Abu Dhabi National Oil Company or ADNOC is fast-tracking its new West-East pipeline, which is expected to be completed by 2027. Once operational, the pipeline will double the UAE's crude export capacity through Fujairah, its strategic port on the Gulf of Oman outside the Strait of Hormuz. The timing is significant. The UAE's decision to quit OPEC Plus, the grouping of major oil producing countries and their allies, was not just about producing more oil, it was also about ensuring that it could export more oil on its own terms and with fewer geopolitical constraints. By expanding infrastructure that bypasses Hormuz, Abu Dhabi wants to strengthen its ability to increase exports even during the periods of regional instability. The project could also provide major Asian buyers, including India, with a more secure route for crude supplies. Speaking at an Atlantic Council event last week, ADNOC Chief Executive Sultan Al Jaber highlighted why the project is important. He said, and I quote, "Energy security is no longer just about your ability to continue to produce. It is about routes, access, storage, and redundancy. Right now, too much of the world's energy still moves through too few choke points." Al Jaber also pointed out that the UAE has been working in that direction for more than a decade. He said, and I quote, "That is exactly why the UAE made the decision more than a decade ago to invest in infrastructure that bypasses the Strait of Hormuz, and it is why we moved ahead with our second pipeline in 2025. Today, it's already almost 50% complete, and we are accelerating its delivery toward 2027. Now, why is bypassing Hormuz a big deal for UAE? The Strait of Hormuz is the narrow passage connecting the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman and the Arabian Sea. A large share of the Gulf countries' oil and gas exports passes through this route every day. The UAE has long tried to reduce this dependence. Since 2012, the UAE has operated Abu Dhabi crude oil pipeline known as ADCOP, which carries crude from the inland Habshan oil fields to Fujairah on the Gulf of Oman. With a capacity of about 1.5 million barrels per day, the ADCOP was built specifically to reduce reliance on Hormuz. Since the eruption of the latest West Asia conflict, the pipeline has reportedly been operating at full capacity. The new West East pipeline is essentially the next stage for that strategy. Its significance has grown further following the UAE's decision to leave OPEC Plus in May 2026 due to dissatisfaction with the production quotas given UAE's high production capacity. As Umut Shokri, energy strategist and senior visiting fellow at George Mason University in the United States, told ThePrint, the main logic is clear. If the UAE wants to expand output, it also needs a more secure export route that is less exposed to Hormuz risk. According to Shokri, the pipeline fits into Abu Dhabi's broader strategy of expanding production and gaining export flexibility. He sees it as a part of a long-term effort to strengthen the UAE's position in global energy markets rather than a short-term response to any single geopolitical event. Now, can this pipeline actually reduce Hormuz risk? The answer is yes, but only to an extent. The new pipeline will make the UAE much less vulnerable to disruption in Hormuz. In the event of a blockade, military escalation, or disruption in the shipping traffic, Abu Dhabi would still be able to move large volumes of crude through Fujairah. That additional capacity would also strengthen the UAE's position as one of the few Gulf producers with a substantial export route that bypasses Hormuz. Shokri says, and I quote, "Additional UAE export capacity can materially reduce supply risk. It gives Abu Dhabi a stronger bypass option during Gulf crisis and can help moderate price spikes by keeping more crude flowing through Fujairah. However, there is an important limitation. The Strait of Hormuz remains critical for much of the Gulf's oil and gas trade. Countries such as Iraq and Kuwait rely heavily on Hormuz for crude exports, while Qatar's LNG shipments and a significant share of Saudi oil exports also passes through the strait. As Shokri notes, Hormuz remains essential for other producers, including Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar's LNG exports, and part of Saudi flows. Pipelines, storage hubs, and ports can also become targets during conflict. So, the pipeline improves resilience, but it does not remove geopolitical risk. In other words, the project can reduce risk for the UAE, but it cannot eliminate the strategic importance of Hormuz for the wider Gulf region. So, now what does this pipeline mean for India? India imports more than 85% of its crude oil requirements and remains heavily dependent on supplies from West Asia. That means any disruption in Hormuz can directly affect India through higher freight costs, rising insurance premium, shipping delays, and eventually higher fuel prices. Shokri believes the new pipeline could help. He says, for India, the project is important because it could provide Indian refiners with more reliable access to UAE crude during regional tension. The Fujairah route provides a practical alternative because oil loaded from the UAE's eastern coast can enter the Arabian Sea directly without transiting Hormuz. According to Shokri, this could reduce shipping delays, insurance exposure, and disruption risk for Indian buyers. Given India's high dependence on imported crude and its continued reliance on Gulf barrels, any additional Hormuz bypass capacity strengthens India's energy security. More broadly, the pipeline reflects a larger shift in Gulf energy geopolitics. As Shokri says, and I quote, Gulf producers are trying to reduce full dependence on Hormuz by developing overland pipelines, alternative ports, storage hubs, and export corridors. While Hormuz will remain a key route for Gulf energy exports, its monopoly is gradually being reduced as producers invest in alternative infrastructure. For India and other Asian economies that are dependent on Gulf crude, this shift could prove significant. As geopolitical tensions remain elevated, the reliability of export routes matters as much as the oil flowing through them. Thank you for watching. For more such videos, please subscribe to the Print's YouTube channel.